We have now Benedikta Sörensen, who is the founder and principal of the Icelandic non-profit organization called Ofbeldisforvarnarskólinn, which means the Violence Prevention School. With over 13 years of experience as a youth worker, Benedikta holds a master's degree in pedagogy and is currently pursuing her PhD, focusing on the manifestations and prevention of gender-based violence. Since 2019, she has developed localized education materials based on the bystander approach tailored specifically to youth in Iceland. But she will not be alone on the stage. She will be accompanied by Bjarki Melsteð. He's the director at Klutz Esports, an organization dedicated to promoting female participation in esports. With approximately 20 years of experience in esports, he has taken on multiple roles, including player, manager, coach, educator, and organizer. Benna and Bjarki are here today to give the presentation Leveling Up Your Sexting Game, presenting the Eggplant Bot. Without further ado, Benna and Bjarki.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Þórdís, for that. So I'm Benna. I'm part of the Game Changer group that's been working on this project. And like Þórdís mentioned, I am first and foremost here as a youth worker. And with me is Bjarki.
Yeah, hi, my name is Bjarki. I was with the Game Changer project as a part of the Icelandic Esports Federation. And we would like to talk to you about the Eggplant Bot that was designed as part of the project. So let's just get straight into it. What is the Eggplant Bot? It is a tool for educating youth on safe sexting in conversation form. And we'll get further into that in a little bit, but what we identified almost immediately as we were kind of conjuring up the idea of this bot is that we had to reach youth in their digital environments. So the first idea was basically, how do we spread the bot? Well, it's a digital tool, so spreading it in a digital environment makes sense. And then a question was posed as well. It's like, who needs it? And as Nordref predominantly has come in on, the perpetrators, we're trying to reach perpetrators with this. The perpetrators are primarily men. And a particular problem that was identified and this bot ended up addressing very largely is a problem with dick pics. And well, it feels kind of obvious to say this, but the primary perpetrators, those who sent unsolicited dick pics, are primarily men. So we needed to reach men and tell them that this wasn't okay. But where do we find them? And what we've identified at the Icelandic Esports Federation is that young men are very often found in video gaming and esports scenes. And what we recognized was that, particularly as it relates to competitive gaming, that there was a platform where we could actually reach these individuals, and that is through the organizers, or like the organization of competitions within these games. And this is very often Discord servers. So what we recognized is that there are a lot of Discord servers that we can reach out to, because there's organizers who are concerned with the same things we are, that are willing to help us. So we created a Discord bot. How that works is basically, so every day at some hour of the day, it's up to the Discord admin, but we send an unsolicited eggplant picture to about 0.3% of the Discord server. So over the course of a year, everyone will receive an unsolicited eggplant picture. And I think this keys very nicely into what Andreas touched on. It's like, it's also a message of like men who receive it, men who maybe aren't considering the other side, like the other perspective, what the receiver is thinking. they suddenly receive this unsolicited eggplant picture, and a message follows. So this message is actually, congratulations, you've been randomly selected to receive my unsolicited eggplant. But it will, I mean, it can also say things like, wow, imagine if this had been something other than an eggplant, something more graphic. But what this eventually leads to is spreading awareness of the actual bot, which Benna will now introduce, and yeah, hopefully reach some of the target audience.
Yeah. Once having reached the target audience, we need to engage them to stay. And that means that we need to create a platform, to create a conversation that is non-judgmental. And that is part of what we've been hearing also, is that it is difficult for boys to engage in this conversation because they are treated and talked to as a perpetrator, and nobody wants to be talked to as a perpetrator. And in general, we find that, as is the case with so many things related to sex, is that it's a damned if you do and damned if you don't sort of world. Youth who send nudes or want to send nudes or receive them, they feel judged. And sometimes this is not because of something that they are imagining, they are being judged. The world asks questions such as, why did they send this picture in the first place? What did they think would happen in this case? And all these different things that society asks people who've been subject to violence in a way to make them responsible for what has happened to them. And in a very similar way, the youth who feel they don't want to send nudes, they don't want to receive nudes, they don't want any part of it, they feel pressured. They feel pressured to do so, and this can be very direct pressure. This can be pressure from a person who wants to send them or receive a nude from them. This can also be a direct pressure from other young people who just sort of think it's the normal thing to do. But it can also be pressure that just sort of comes from observing society, that comes from more within themselves, that they feel that this is something that they should be interested in. And that's just because this is the way that we've framed society. So even for the kids who have never been directly pressured to partake in this, they will still feel that pressure of doing this. And then damned if you do, damned if you don't, they buckle to this pressure, they send or receive pictures and are subsequently blamed for any harm that they may so just in order to be able to have this conversation, in order to be able to have a conversation where we can educate them, where we can sort of talk about this, they need to feel, and that was very, very important to us in creating this tool, is that we need to create something where they feel that no matter how they answered, they're heard and they're listened to and they're respected for what they say. And that sort of brings us to the very core of what this is that, and this one is difficult for us. This is not an exhaustive sex education tool. Those of us in the know, we really, really want to share everything with our young people. We really, really want to sit them down for about 4.5 days and share with them all the things that we know about this and that they really need to know. But it's not going to work. They're not going to listen for quite that long. And they need to feel that what they have sort of contributed to the conversation is leading the conversation. So the youth who play are sort of selecting their path. And this is also because, like we've heard today, and like many of us already knew, is that this is a system. There is a system in place that sort of upholds these misogynistic ideas, the violence that is perpetrated mainly against girls, but still each young person that enters the conversation, they need to be allowed to enter it as an individual. Because they can't simply be told that they are part of some sort of enormous system and everything that they do has actually been done before and we know the reasons why, and so this is all the things that you should listen to. They need to come in as an individual and they need to sort of select their path and to get education based on that. So this means that the youth who tell us that they don't like nudes, they get a different path. They get a path where they get asked, you know, is there, if they tell us that they don't like them or even that they hate them, they get asked, you know, did something happen? Is there a reason why you hate this? And then they can actually choose the path of saying, no, nothing happened. I'm fine. And then they navigate through the conversation with the bot very, very quickly. They just get told that, okay, you're not interested. You haven't had bad experiences. It seems like you're in a good place. Thank you for taking the time to have the conversation. If you want to learn anything more, there's lots more to be taken with different paths, but maybe you don't need to. But then there are the children or the youth who will tell us that, you know, something bad did happen. I don't like or hate nudes because something bad has happened. In which case they get asked these questions. Someone's faked a nude of me. I've been pressured to send a nude when I didn't want to. Some people saw my picture without my consent. I've gotten nudes that I didn't want. I shared with the wrong people. I'm scared that the wrong people would get them. And these are all very realistic worries that young people have. In which case they then get told that what they're feeling is normal, that what happened to them wasn't their fault, and most importantly, perhaps they get told where to get help. And since this is a tool that we have created now for 3 different countries, they also have different pathways that they're guided into. The young people in Iceland get guided to counseling services in Iceland. The young people in Sweden go to counseling services in Sweden. And the young people in Finland get shown Suovartan. So they get counseling services from there. So they're all able to sort of take things a little bit further if they need to within their own language, in their own communities. And then there is the young people who let us know that they are interested in nudes. They are interested in receiving them, or they are interested in sending them. And they go down a different path, and that is one around consent, around respect, and just sort of in general, how is it that you are supposed to conduct yourself in this way? They get told what situations are absolute no-nos. You can never start with sending a picture. You need to establish some sort of conversation. They get guidance on, you know, how might I initiate this conversation? And they get sort of told about the whole double checking of consent, checking every time that you want to send or receive a picture that you need to ask once more. And there's another group that is involved there in the, yes, I want to receive nudes, or I'm really into nudes, and that is the young people who then sort of tell us that it's because everyone is, like, I'm supposed to want to. And then we just sort of go, take a little detour into myths and misconceptions. This is actually wrong. Not all young people are sending nudes. There are lots of people who are not interested in them and who are not sending them, and that's fine. And then double consent, they get asked again, are you actually interested in nudes? In which case they get respect, boundaries, consensual sharing, and then they get, or they go down to the other path where it's about, are you okay with it? Do you need help with it? So every time, basically the one thing that all the conversations have in common is that they sort of get brought together in a thank you for taking the time. It's been a pleasure for this little bot here to have this artificial conversation with the young person. And, you know, this is game over. That's all that they have. So here in Sweden, we have just launched this, or are just launching it. We haven't done it yet. But you can test it on this little site right there. And if you do, please let us know about any problems or thoughts that you have on the subject. So, thank you.